Hi, welcome to your lesson in measuring the body. So excited that you're here. First things first, there's a couple things that we need to be prepared for this. So get your ruler, not the one that I sent to you because that's too pliable. You need either a wooden ruler or something like a book, flat surface, hard, that's not going to be able to bend, something like that. A pen or a pencil. You need the guide that is attached to the lesson, so print that out. If you can't print it out, no big deal, grab a piece of paper so that you can jot down the measurements. You are going to need your fabric measuring tape. You absolutely must be barefoot. There's just no two ways around it. You have to be barefoot because even if you're in the flattest of flattest shoes, there's still a lift. It could be 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of it. It could be the smallest strip of leather like a sandal. Absolutely not. You have to be barefoot. No two ways around it. If you have a friend who can help measure you, I would recommend a friend. If not, you're going to see how I'm doing it totally solo. No big deal. Now, I said fabric measuring tape. Mine's already in the door jamb. I put mine in the door jamb for a couple reasons. One, it's completely flush. There isn't, as you can see over here, any molding or anything like that. So if you have molding in the floor or anything, we have to be as flush and accurate as possible. So the door jamb is just, it's flat. There's no, you can't mess this one up, guys. 1 inch is at the bottom, 79 inches is at the top. The 1 inch is being held onto the door with the tape that you were given. So the 1 inch has to be on the door frame, not hanging off the bottom. So make sure that the bottom of the floor, or the bottom of the floor, make sure that the bottom of the measuring tape, that metal piece, is still on your door jamb and you just taped it up. You went all the way up because the measuring tape has to be taut. We need as precise and down to the 1/8 of an inch as possible. Which reminds me, did you look at the tips video on how to read an inch? Because we are breaking this down by the 1/8. And that's super, super important because it all counts. So if you haven't watched how to read 1 inch, stop now, go to and read 1 inch. It's so, so important. Okay, those were the big things that needed to be checked off first. So now let's get to measuring. If you are doing this by yourself, you're going to do it exactly how I'm doing it. If you happen to have a friend with you, you're lucky, but stand adjacent to the door frame so that they can measure you. You cannot talk, you cannot move your head, nothing, because we need these measurements. And because I'm doing it on myself, and I'm going to talk and I'm going to move around, they're not 100% because it's an example or a demonstration. So I'm going to take my ruler and put this at the top of my head. Right? And I'm just going to mark it off with my pen. Whoop, let's make sure that this is at 90 degrees and it's totally perpendicular. And I'm just gonna, here we go. I'm just going to mark this off with my pen or pencil. Once you've done that, we're gonna go underneath the jaw. Okay, like so. Mark that. Your next measurement is your hinge of your jaw. It's underneath your earlobe, excuse me. So it's that bottom that you're measuring, that hinge. So right there. And now I'm going to be adjacent to the door frame because it's easier for me. And then you want, again, 90 degrees so it's perpendicular. Here we go. Underneath the ear. And then I'm going to kind of just walk it into. That's your measurement. Those are the 3 head measurements that you need. Your next measurement is going to be the base of your neck. So it's really the clavicle, the top of the clavicle bones. So now I'm going to face the tape measure, the top of my clavicle bone, and just measure it that way. Okay, we're going to go a little further down because if you don't already know, because I'm doing this by myself and I'm recording it, I can see if my ruler is at 90 degrees and perpendicular. So I'm moving it around a little bit. So that's good to know and helpful for you if you're doing this by yourself. Cool. Now you just mark that down. Your next measurement is going to be your breastbone. Again, if you haven't already looked at the tips video, there is a video on how to figure out where the end of your breastbone actually is, where that little spot that we have to measure is. Of course, I'm going to still show you in this video, but if you wanted to take a time out, do something else, and then see the video, I'm not going to stop you either. So, in order to find your breastbone, what you're going to do is you're going to take your hands and put them on your clavicle, and you're going to slowly skim down your chest. There's going to be a bump. Past that bump, go to the second bump. I feel like I'm on a road map. Go to the second bump, and when you find what feels like a bump, and then kind of like a depreciation, the bottom of that depreciation, that's the measurement you're looking for. Mine happens to be between my breasts. On average, it's anywhere 1.5 to 4 inches from the clavicle. Now, it doesn't mean that that's going to be the case because, as you can tell, I'm holding 6 inches from my clavicle down. So very, very rare that somebody's measurement is going to be low like this. But it does explain why I can wear deep V's and it not be funky on me. So, here we go. I'm feeling it. Here we are. Take my ruler, put it there, and mark it again. Oops. Mark it right so. Okay? Your next measurement is going to be your elbow. Not the outside, I want the inside. So the inside, shouldn't be too difficult. So naturally put your arm down, and then you just put your ruler into the door jamb, wherever your elbow is, the inside, and you measure that. Simple, I hope. Your next measurement is going to be your waist. Tip number 3, I made a video on how to find your waist if you aren't sure. Obviously, I'm going to totally show you anyway. So, go to the video, hang out here, however you choose. You just put your hands on your hips. When you bend, your lowest point of where you can bend, like I can't bend anymore, the lowest point of your bend, that is your natural waist. So that's what we're looking to find for the measurements. So I'm as low as it goes, and I left my thumb in my lovely indentation. I got my ruler, put my ruler where my thumb is. There we go. And then I'm going to measure that. Simple, right? Okay, your next measurement is going to be your leg torso bend. And it's like in this general area. So there's 2 ways to go about this. You can put your toes out like a ballerina and see where your leg bends that way. Or do what I like to do, just lift your leg 90 degrees. Where is that bend? This is a really important measurement. I mean, they're all really important realistically, but this is also super important because it's going to help you with the hems of your shirts, maybe the tops of your pants, the belts. All the placements that you possibly need are going to be helpful with this measurement. So my bend is right here. So I'm just going to measure right so. Okay? Hold on. There we go. Your next measurement is going to have to do with your wrist and your hand. So the next measurement is going to be your wrist bone. You want the outside of your wrist bone. So it's your pinky finger and where the bone, your wrist, and your hand meet, that spot. So naturally let your hand hang. Now I'm going to stiffen mine up so I can move around but know that my hand isn't moving. And then I'm just going to find the bottom of my wrist bone, which is right here. And I'm going to cozy up to my measuring tape and go ahead and measure so. Your next measurement is going to be that middle finger. I told you you can use the middle finger for multiple things, and especially in fashion, and this is going to be one of them. So it's your middle finger, your middle knuckle, okay? So again, put your hand down naturally and comfortably. Again, I'm going to stiffen mine. I know where my middle knuckle is, or where it falls, and then you're just going to measure, whoops, right like so. Easy peasy. After you've written down that measurement, you're free to go and move. Your next measurement, don't worry, this is the second to last one, is going to be your kneecaps. You need to find the center of your knee. Cap, excuse me. So stand straight up, find the center, turn and face your door, and walk on into it. Okay? And it's about right there. Your last measurement is going to be your ankle bone, the top of your ankle bone. So for me, my ruler doesn't have very much in the way of excess space, so I can't really mess this one up. I'm just going to put my ruler on the floor, and I'm going to measure where the top of my ankle bone is. That is your last measurement. Two things. One, you saw that while I'm doing this on my own, I've recorded myself because I also want to make sure that I'm doing the 90 degrees just like you're doing, so that this is flush and this is straight, because I cannot say how important it is to get this as accurate as you possibly can. The second thing you need to be conscious of is your shoulders and your hips. Are your shoulders straight and are your hips straight? Versus, one shoulder's higher than the other, which is not uncommon, and that's the same thing for your hips. So if one's higher than the other, it throws everything off. And if that happens to be the case, you need to measure both sides of your body, starting from the inside of your elbow down. So what are those measurements? Write that side down. So write down the left side, write down the right side. You got this. I have complete and utter confidence that you can do this. Obviously, I am here to help you at any and all steps. We will have Zoom calls about it. We will have one-on-ones if you need help. We will be chatting in the community about measuring. Anything and everything. You have such a great support team, whether it's through myself or your other fun friend members. We're all here to help. So, happy measuring, and I will see you in the next lesson.